Good evening and welcome to Family Fest Barbados 2025. We want to thank you so much for joining us in 2024, where we brought help, hope, healing, and definitely happiness to your families. I am so excited to be here with you this evening. I'm Lisa Dottin, and we have a wonderful set of panelists here with us. We have Tony Olton, Fabian Sargent, Rachel Cheeseman, and you're going to be hearing so much from them very shortly as we explore the topic emotional intelligence in the family. So, welcome to all of you. Welcome to our panelists. So, why are we here? Why is Family Fest exploring this very important topic? When we look at families, not only in Barbados, but all over the world, we can see a steady breakdown in the relationships. We can see a breakdown in the relationships between spouses as well as children and parents. And many years ago, it was thought, if your physical needs are met, that's it. That's all you need. But the degradation of families continues to get worse. And on close examination, we're realizing that this breakdown in families has a lot more to do with more than what meets the eyes and a lot more to do with what is obvious. This discussion will seek to take a deep dive into some of the dynamics of emotional intelligence within our families. And we hope that this conversation will shed some much needed light on the dynamics of emotions that were previously ignored, sometimes overlooked, or even misunderstood. In unpacking this topic, we really hope that each member of the family would benefit from bridging the gap between the pain, separation, and even destruction, and replace it with understanding and healing and reconciliation. Many don't do better because they don't know better. And this discussion, we are hoping, will uncover the lid and it will open a pot to understanding the area of emotional intelligence in the context of the family. Maybe the healing process could start as the level of self-awareness increases. So this evening, as we explore this, we are grateful to our sponsors, Corbar Business Solutions, Inc., for equipment, technology, and services. They supply the best business solutions to keep you in business. Thank you so much to our sponsors. So join us as we take a deep look at emotional intelligence. We're seeking this evening to understand the dynamics of it. So that's what our panelists, they're going to do for you, and how each member of the family can help to improve, to strengthen the family life by understanding how our emotions and our emotional issues are to be managed. So it is with great pleasure that I invite each of our panelists. They're going to tell you a bit about themselves so you understand what perspective they're coming from. So we have two gentlemen and one lady here with us. So what I'm going to do this time around, gentlemen, you don't mind if the lady begins first, right? I'm sure chivalry isn't dead. Beautiful. So we have Rachel Cheeseman, Fabian Sargent, and Tony Olton, and I'm sure they can give you their introductions in that order. Go right ahead.
Hi, good evening. I am Rachel Cheeseman. Happy to be here. I am the Youth Program Director at the Caribbean Institute for Social and Emotional Learning, as well as the Social Media Director at the same organization. I've been with the organization since completing my EQ practitioner training in 2020. I've also a very passionate advocate for SEL among our youth. Hence my title at the organization, because that's one thing that I seek to do, is to broaden the scope of SEL among our youth. And I look forward to adding value to this discussion this evening, not only as an EQ educator, but also as a mom of a teenage daughter. So thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Over to you, Fabian.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Well, I am Fabian Sargent. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm also a professional social worker. I am the founder and president of Men Empowerment Network Support. And the organization really focuses on the social and emotional empowerment of men and boys across Barbados. I'm also a man seeking to, I guess, be the best version of myself. I'm becoming a lot more emotionally intelligent, hence my involvement with this program. So I look forward to a very robust conversation.
Beautiful.
Right, so thanks. I am Tony Olton. I am the founder of the Caribbean Institute for Social and Emotional Learning. I first got involved in emotional intelligence back in 2002. That was part of my own quest for my own self-development, but I quickly recognized the power of emotional intelligence and subsequently socio-emotional learning
Yes.
and its ability to help us significantly move towards having to solve the challenges that you so eloquently described in your layup. So I look forward to being part of the discussion this evening.
Beautiful. So for those who are listening, you know we are going to have some deep diving going on. So we're going to jump straight into our discussion. And we don't want to explore a topic before we share with persons what it's all about. So in the simplest form that you can think of, share with our listeners what is emotional intelligence. We're going to hear from all three of you, three different perspectives. And as your mic is already open, so you can get started. Help us to understand what is emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence, there are several definitions. So let me put about two or three of them on you. Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, use, understand, and manage emotions, your own and the emotions in others. Why is that important? Because as human beings, we are fundamentally driven. We are moved by our emotions. We've all gone to school and learned all kinds of stuff: French, geography, Spanish, mathematics, physics. What we've not spent a lot of time teaching and as a result learning is the language of our own emotions, the messages that are contained in our emotions. So that, simply put, emotional intelligence in my head is a solution or is the solution to the challenges that we're facing in our society. It's otherwise described as the ability to be smart with your feelings.
I like that.
To become strategic in how you treat to your feelings. Yeah. So the skills are self-awareness, self-management, self-motivation, social awareness, and social skills.
Okay.
Skills because they're learnable and they are transferable. I'll stop there.
Yes. I'm glad you said that because we're going to dig into that a little later. So thank you so much. Rachel and Fabian, you can decide who wants to jump in first and give us your perspective.
Well, I'll jump in because I'll kind of add to what Tony would have just said about the emotions being messages. And I think that's a very important key in understanding what emotional intelligence is. And the messages are from you to you about you. And really, in order to hear those messages, to understand those messages, I think we need to be able to slow down, right? We need to be able to pause, to name, to notice, to reflect. So for me personally, so my personal definition that I like to walk around with in my head is the ability to practice the pause. That's how I view it. So I know that I am doing good in that department when I'm able to stop and pause before I respond to a situation. And I will just leave with you a quote because as I am a tutor of Tony, I have come to love quotes a lot. So one of my favorite quotes is by Viktor Frankl. And the quote goes, between stimulus and response, there's a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. So that space is the pause, right? The pause before you react. And to me, that's where emotional intelligence lives.
Wonderful.
Yes, coming behind two wonderful definitions, you leave you with the crumbs. But to me, emotional intelligence is really about understanding your emotions, being able to name them, understand when you name them, what behaviors pretty much would come, how you would respond to these feelings and these emotions. It really is about telling you about yourself, how you respond to your environment, and I guess how you connect with people around you. So being emotionally intelligent involves a wide range of things about you, and how you really respond to your entire social space. So I'll leave it there in a very simple way because the two that went before me did all the heavy lifting.
Well, then I should get you started on the next angle now, because my question for you guys, some persons may be listening to us, they've heard what we said, and they may say, yeah, but does it really make a difference? Does it matter in the grand scheme of things. Help us to understand why, I guess in a nutshell, where we even having this discussion this evening, why is it so important? What difference does it make? So I guess you can get started, Fabian. And we're looking at the
Sure.
family, so you can decide your angle.
Yeah, sure. Let me really look at behavior. I think this entire conversation, I guess, is really on the backdrop of what has been going on with families generally as society and the breakdown of families. And oftentimes we don't ever pay attention to things that we do not see. We pay attention to the behaviors. We see the behaviors. We see the violence. We see the cursing. We see how parents treat their children, how individuals treat their spouses. That is what we see because naturally we're tangible beings. We really respond to things that our eyes can see and we can touch and feel. Now, the underlying to what that behavior is the emotions. And it is extremely important to really tap into that foundation. Oftentimes we focus on the fruit and not the root. And emotions is the root. Getting in a space where you can understand how you feel. Now, traditionally, we were never really taught to tap into how we feel as individuals within families. It has never been part of our cultural existence. I mean, when you grow up, especially where men and boys are socialized, they get beat and tell stop crying here. You know,
It's true.
if you cry as a man, no, man, men don't cry. Men are supposed to cry. Even now, in this modern day society, that still exists. Okay, we are never taught words in terms of, well, we never taught words outside of sad, happy, vex, alright, okay. So the importance of the whole concept of emotional intelligence, it really equips individuals with that knowledge, that vocabulary that is important. Because if you cannot name it, you can't really identify with it. And sometimes we mix up our emotions and we jump straight to anger most of the times based on what I see. And if we can dissect what frustration looks like, what disappointment looks like, then we are in a better position to act on what we are feeling and also understand that we always have choices. And that is, to my mind, one of the most important parts of this, understanding that we have choices and what those choices would be. And I'll just close off with this. One of the parts that is very, I guess, that I would like to focus on throughout the conversation is that of patterns, behavioral patterns within families. We get so accustomed to treating people a particular way, communicating a particular way, that we don't ever realize when it's creating a challenge within the family. And until we can identify what those patterns are and treat to those patterns will continue. And actually, I mean, if you really take a close look at families, we have so many generational patterns because you do what your mother did what your grandmother did, and we need to come to a point where we can identify what those patterns are and find a way to really find healthier ways. It is extremely important that families become a lot more emotionally intelligent because it is the foundation for our behaviors. What really drives who we are and what we do. Now, I just quickly, we're tangible beings, as I was saying. We always focus on what we can see, what we can touch. Emotions, those are things that you don't really touch, you can't really see. And so it makes it difficult for people to really want to tap into them. And traditionally, we've not been taught emotional intelligence. We've not been taught that emotional vocabulary. We've not been taught the words associated with particular feelings, and they made mention to things like frustration and disappointment and maybe even anxiety. We always jump to anger, or vex, happy, sad. Those very simple type of words, but we don't really delve into the more complex type of emotions. And it is important that we as a people, as a family, understand these, because then it puts us in a better place to connect with the individuals around us and us ready to connect with ourselves.
Okay, wonderful. So we are going to be looking now, because we've heard earlier about the definition of emotional intelligence, and each one of you shared some really interesting points. And you helped us to understand that it's all about looking at ourselves, that ability to practice the pause. We heard about that as well. And being smart with our feelings. My question to you, and you can decide which one of you wants to answer here. What does it look like to be emotionally ignorant? This is in the family versus being emotionally intelligent. I want you to give us like some examples because we hear the theory, but if you can pinpoint and show us when you're emotionally ignorant, this is what it looks like. Anyone can jump in here. Rachel, Tony, if you want to, you can jump in.
So you are getting to the crux of the matter.
Mm-hmm.
What does it look like? You're the pig? Huh? You're gonna be just like your father.
Mm.
That's what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
What it looks like? Slap. What does it look like? I'm the one who buys the gas in the house, the bottled gas. So when I leave, I take the cap. Don't look so surprised. This is Barbados.
Okay.
What does it look like? When you go to the family fridge, there are compartments, bags, packets, because this is mine. Don't touch it. Yeah? What does it look like? If you don't pay your child support, you don't see your child. That's what it looks like.
Wow.
Wow. So I was speaking with a teacher in the primary school system about 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what it looks like. Primary school, remember I said primary school.
Yes.
And she's playing this game that we've all experienced as children in school. Sit, stand, sit, stand, stick, sit, stand, stick. So you're trying to anticipate where the teacher's going with her instruction. So you're up and down. In a primary school, a child asks the teacher, why the F fully spelled out? You don't make up your mind. That is what it looks like. Where did that child learn that behavior?
Wow. Okay.
Are you okay?
Yes, I'm okay. I'm taking it all in. I'm sure our listeners are too.
What does
But
it
their
look like?
reality.
What does it look like?
Mm-hmm.
To soothe my pain, I drank alcohol. To soothe my pain, I take illicit drugs. To ease my pain, make me feel good, I become promiscuous. Why? Because all behavior, not some, not most, but all behavior, whatever it is mounted to meet an emotional need.
Wow.
So when I don't feel understood, when I don't feel loved, when I don't feel respected, when I don't feel connected, what leaves me are behaviors that are destructive, either to myself or in the context of my relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Again, are you okay?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for that. I don't know if any of the others have something they're burning to add to showing us what the emotional, when we're unintelligent with it. Anything else you wish to add? Because we're going to go into the male-female discussion right now.
Before you get there,
Yes.
here's what we teach. An emotionally unintelligent parent cannot raise an emotionally intelligent child.
Wow.
Nor can an emotionally unintelligent teacher. Nor can an emotionally unintelligent leader, supervisor, respond in emotionally intelligent ways and become an influence in the life of the other person.
That's good food for thought.
24 on all the cylinders.
I know, right?
Because
love
we are messing around with the issues. I'm
I agree.
passionate about this. Emotional intelligence is the solution to the problem. And we're dancing all around it.
Right.
I'm not understanding what the problem is. So part of my background is insurance. And here's what they taught me as a young insurance man. As good as your products are, as much as they can do for the individuals who you serve, you are not going to be effective in your selling until your client, your prospect, identifies the need that they have.
Mm. Okay.
And then your product becomes the solution to that need. So
Yeah.
I've applied that thinking, that awareness to my engagement, to my activities in emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is a powerful response to the challenges that we're having. Yes?
Yes.
So until we get to understand the nature of the problem, so Rachel talked earlier about my love for quotations because they make learning easy to grasp.
True.
Yes? It says every problem contains the seed of its own solution. A problem well defined is half solved. If you don't understand the nature of the problem,
Yeah.
you're going to tinker, you're going to put on a lot of band-aids, but you will never solve the problem because you're not really fixing the problem, you are responding to the symptoms.
Nice. Nice. I agree with you, Fabian. He's firing well. So now we're going to go into some male-female discussion here. Are there differences then with the emotional construct of the men versus the women versus the children? We can look at the children, but I actually think we can part that one and start first with the men and the women because they're at the beginning of the family. So I guess one of our men can tackle this one. I'm sure Rachel will want to weigh in as well.
So
So
I'll jump in here. And it was mentioned earlier, emotions are exactly what they are. Emotions are neither male or female. Emotions are about you. Emotions are those messages in the brain. I think what happens is that as individuals, we respond differently. Okay? We experience the same emotion. Happiness is happiness. Sadness is sadness. But we all here can be angry, but we all definitely would not be aggressive. Okay? We treat to that emotion differently. So for men, our external environment often impacts how we behave and how we treat to what we are feeling. So that is exactly where the difference really, really comes because the social expectations of men are so much different from that of women. I mentioned it earlier again, as boys, you get beat. You're not expected to cry. You're not expected to express that emotion in any type of overt way. But it is okay for the girls to do so. It is okay for the girls to go in the corner and cry because they are girls. So while we all have the whole idea of emotions within us, while we all are feeling a particular way, the social environment pretty much determines how we respond. Now, this is where it gets a bit tricky because being emotionally intelligent, you are in tune with yourself and you are in control then of your behaviors. You are now in a position to understand where that feeling is coming from. You are in a position to understand how you are feeling. And with that understanding, being able to balance your thoughts and your emotions, it then puts you in a better place to make a more healthy or productive choice in the behaviors that you have or behaviors that you will demonstrate. And I guess that's what really separates men and women, the whole social environment and the expectations allotted to each one of us. That's what you have to say.
Yeah, good thoughts for boy mums as well. Good thoughts. So Rachel, yes.
I have a slightly different opinion as it relates to females of today. So the whole girls, yes, but I would listening to Fabian, I think society and the weight that women carry in modern day society now, expecting to do it all, be at the top of the corporate chain, run the household, do homework, still have a social life, eat healthy, exercise, look good, don't age. Like we have like a whole list of things that we are supposed to be doing. And I feel a lot of women feel there's no space for me to be vulnerable. There's no space for me to be quote unquote emotional or weak. And we mask that by, the strong, independent woman thing, right? So while yes, we grow up, it's okay to cry. I feel like now in 2025 world where women are juggling just as many balls as a man, sometimes even more because she's a single parent. I think women have the same challenge in terms of having a space where she can just be authentically herself and show how she's actually feeling. I feel we walk around with a lot of masks, women included, and there's not enough spaces for women to be vulnerable and to, show that she needs help without seeming weak or seeming too emotional or seeming dramatic, if she has to speak out, So I think society has transferred some of that pressure onto the modern day female.
Okay, so I'm hearing two social thoughts coming out here and changes in the family dynamic. I see Tony looking very pensive. I don't know if you want to weigh in. Your thoughts on the differences in the emotional construct of the men and the women.
No, I think both Fabian and Rachel are right, and in the perspective that they're taking.
Mm-hmm.
Emotions are gender neutral. Emotions are neither negative nor positive. They are chemicals that are released into our bodies, in our bodies. They go all over our bodies. They have messages and they have purposes. Fabian is right. The difference is in how we manifest. It is in our socialization.
Right.
Yes? Rachel is right that the function of a woman today has significantly changed. Yes?
Yeah.
And so even more reason why we need to become emotionally intelligent.
Okay.
Because a lot of the breakup in families has to do with both parties being able to be not practicing self-awareness, not practicing self-management, self-regulation, can't look beyond the moment and think about what are the consequences.
Yes.
If I take course A, course B, course C, or course D, and ask another question, in my response, what is it that I want in this moment? So I'm in this moment of rancor, I'm in this moment of stress, I'm in this moment of whatever. Yes. How do I disassociate myself from the emotion? And as Fabian said a little while ago, get to a place where I can engage now in conscious thought. So yes, I'm a female. I have 1,000 things going on. I, homework, breakfast, clothes, bills. How can I disassociate myself? How can I become the observer and make a conscious choice, including asking for help?
Yes.
And I'm asking for help not because I'm weak. I'm asking for help because I want to remain strong.
Yes.
But society doesn't teach us that. So I will throw a tantrum. I will throw a shoe. I will throw a knife. I'll stab you. I'll hit you. I'll stop speaking to you. Something is going on with me, but I don't have the awareness and I don't have the tools, I don't have the framework to effectively navigate this moment, to effectively navigate this space, this circumstance.
Oh, wow. So what I'm hearing coming from all three of you then is self-regulation is a key thing in there then.
Is a key thing, but you can't self-regulate if you have not become an observer of yourself. One of the points I make is that God in his infinite wisdom has given us two eyes. And so we look out. Self-awareness is a conscious decision to look in, to become reflective, to become introspective, to be able to stop in the moment, arrest yourself.
Right.
We say count to 6. Because the chemical that we call an emotion, whatever those chemicals are, dopamine, adrenaline, cortisol, oxytocin, GABA, whatever the chemical that we now call an emotion when it is released into the system, It only has a life of 3 to 6 seconds. Your grandmother, who didn't go to anybody's fancy school, had no letters behind her name. Here's what she told you.
Mm-hmm.
When stuff happens, count to 10. She
Yeah.
gave you 4 more seconds than you needed to think about, to let the emotion pass. And Rachel just now talked about, and then creating that space where you allow your emotional brain and your cognitive brain, your rational brain, to have a conversation and make a decision about how you are consciously going to respond. And so what you're doing in that moment is you are stopping the pattern of letting the boyfriend or the husband or the wife's behavior dictate your behavior.
Right.
That is your behavior, I get to choose mine and be at peace with it.
Okay, because when you were saying that, then that's what I was thinking next. Like, how can persons then seek to become more emotionally intelligent? I see Fabian on the edge of his seat, so I don't figure he has something to add into. But whatever you add,
Yeah.
whatever you add, whether it's you or Tony or Rachel,
I didn't realize it was so evident. But yeah, I really wanted to come in behind
yeah.
Tony there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because when we speak about this whole thing with emotional intelligence, it must be an intentional activity.
Okay.
Yes,
It's not a
has to be.
by the way. It is not something that you just wake up one morning and happens. You
Okay.
have to, as Tony said, demonstrate that level of self-awareness. Where you tell yourself, look, I need to do something about me.
Mm-hmm.
I do not like where I'm at. I need to seek new information, and I need to find a way that I can manage who I am as a person. So it has to be intentional. It can't be that you listen to these people on the screen and then tomorrow morning, because you hear 2 words,
Yes.
and that I can become emotionally intelligent because I like what Tony said or I like what Rachel said. You have to make that conscious choice to say, well, look, this is a process that I am willing to take. This is a journey that I'm willing to get onto. I can tell you my journey started with doing the emotional intelligence course twice. That's what I can tell you. Because after the first one, I thought that there was so much that I was still missing that I did not get for myself. That I had to do this over, I needed this information. And if I can be honest with you, I think I needed to do it a 3rd time. And I guess that this is part of the journey of self-discovery. Everybody don't arrive the same time. Now, what I also want to add to this is that in order for emotional intelligence to be fruitful in its truest form, you have to understand where you come from. So a lot of those childhood traumas that we experience, especially the complex traumas, those complex traumas coming out of sexual abuse and all of these things
Yes.
that happens throughout society. If you don't face these things, then you will find it difficult to really understand who you are as an individual and ultimately get to that point of emotional intelligence that is necessary for you to be a productive citizen or individual. So our past sometimes is very hurtful, it's very painful when you think back about the things that happened to you. But it is important that you need to go back to that to settle those, I guess, personalized scores with self and understand blame game, because yeah, we blame everybody for everything that happens, sometimes rightfully so, because we did not create the environment for ourselves when we were children. However, it must be an intentional process to say, well, look, I want to change. I'll stop there.
Right. Great. So we're teaching persons or sharing with persons how can we become emotionally intelligent, and like like the fact that you mentioned the course that you went on. So Rachel, Tony, how can persons start this journey?
So there's a mnemonic that we use. You first of all need to be aware.
Okay.
You have to become aware that I have feelings, but I'm not my feelings. I have thoughts, but I'm not my thoughts. That I have these patterns of thoughts, of feelings, and behaving. Yeah? And that is why I keep getting the same results. In spite of my best intentions, I keep getting the same results because I'm operating out of patterns that are etched into my subconscious mind. from as early as age 2. So you need that awareness. Then you need to have the desire. You know, there's this story in the Bible of the prodigal son. The prodigal son took his father's money, not his father's money, and lived a riotous life. And then spent some time living with the pigs.
Right.
But here's the interesting part. And when he came to himself. So nothing happens without awareness. He says, I will arise and I will go to my father and I will say, you have to have the desire for change. All these tools and methodologies and content that we have is meaningless if you don't desire to have change. So what Fabi was talking to just now is about taking responsibility. It's about stopping the blame game. Yeah. It's about becoming a transition figure in your family. So if you grow up in a family that resolve problems by fighting, by cursing, cussing each other out, are you going to become the person who absorbs all of that negative and then radiates out the positive? So you need to have awareness. You have to have desire. Then you have to go and learn, read a book, take a class, do a course, so that you build up the competence so that you can.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
The ability so you can. And then you have to constantly now expose yourself. So Fabian has done our course twice. Yes? So you have to find ways now to reinforce that learning. So you're teaching it to your children. When you're at work, when you're at play, whatever it is, you're constantly reinforcing it. By teaching it, you're teaching the other, and you also reinforce it now within yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So I think what's coming out here too from all of you, you have to want the change for your family. And then
for yourself first. For yourself.
Okay.
Then for your family.
Okay. So you have
remember
to
I said earlier, for yourself. Remember I said just now that an emotionally unintelligent parent cannot raise an emotionally intelligent child. Okay. So you have to be working on yourself first. Huh?
Yeah.
And then become a positive influence in the life of your child and your partner.
All right. So we've had quite a few things coming out, and I know our panelists have so much they can offer. But now we're at the point where your final thoughts, I guess that your summary. What do you want our listeners to go away with and to hold fast to as it relates to emotional intelligence themselves? And I guess specifically because this is Family Fest Barbados, and their families. What are some thoughts that you really want them to hold fast to in there?
I am not a lamppost.
Okay.
I have feelings. I have thoughts. I am not my feelings. I am not my thoughts. But my feelings and my thoughts drive my behaviors. If I can understand what is going on inside of me, if I can, first of all, observe, take notice, if I can understand, and if I can better regulate myself, I can be a more positive force in the life of my family, that is my children, my partner, my extended family. I can become, I used the term earlier, I can become the person in my family that changes the trajectory in how this family operates.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks, Tony. Rachel.
I would just add that the emotional intelligent person responds based on values and not feelings. So one of the things the person has to have a top of mind is, what are my values? And allow their values to dictate their responses to situations and not how they feel, because their response will dictate basically the outcome. Yes, you have to be very conscious of, we call it consequential thinking. What outcome am I chasing? And have a vision for whatever it is that you want based on your values. And once you're able to connect your values and your outcome, you can, as Tony just said, hone in on the connection between your thoughts, feelings and behaviors, and then be able to make, better choices.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Back over to you, Fabian.
Yes. For people that are listening and families to listen that are listening, I would like people to know that no one is beyond repair. No one is beyond repair. Sometimes we think that we are too far gone. No, man, this doesn't apply to me. Every single day that you wake up, those two eyes open, is a day of new opportunity. It's a day of new learning. It's a day for you to set new goals, and it's a day for you to accomplish a lot more. And no one is beyond repair. So I really would like to challenge families out there who are individuals who may think that, too much has happened to me throughout my life. I cannot be emotionally intelligent. This does not apply to me. Yes, it does apply to you. And just make that intentional step to be emotionally intelligent.
All right. So we've heard from our three wonderful panelists this evening, Tony Olton, Rachel Cheeseman, Fabian Sargent, who shared from their hearts. I find you shared theory with us, but you shared from your hearts. We looked at what emotional intelligence is and how it affects our families and how we can be better and do better in our families. So this is Family Fest Barbados 2025. We are happy to join you as we explored emotional intelligence in the family. More discussions to come, I am sure. And we also want to thank Corbra Business Solutions, Inc. for sponsoring this evening's discussion as they seek to equip technology and they offer equipment, technology and services, and they supply the best business solutions to keep you in business. So we thank them so much, and we thank our panelists for sharing with us about emotional intelligence. And I am sure we will be back again as we seek to ensure that our families are helped. We bring hope, we bring healing, and they are happy as well. So have a wonderful evening. This is goodbye for this time around from the Family Fest family here, Family Fest Barbados 2025. Have a wonderful time with your families.
We're Family Fest, giving our best, empowering families to be the pillars of society. Family Fest, bringing healing and rest to hurting families, bringing help, hope, healing, happiness. With God on our side, we're marching strong.